Hey, welcome to the Strong Roots podcast. My name is Kristin Hill, and we are so excited that you're tuning in today. Our prayer is that you would move one step closer to Jesus through this series. So go ahead and check out this next episode. Hey, Strong Roots, welcome to our marriage season. I'm here with an amazing couple. This is Jenny, this is Ed, and I'm so excited to get to know them with you and to talk marriage with them and just get the inside scoop and get their wisdom and knowledge. How many years have you been married?
34.
34. So I'm just going to start picking their brain right now. So, guys, first, we all want to know who pursued who.
That's a... Yeah. You want to start or...
Who pursued her? I met her in a bar.
Yeah.
I lived half my life in a bar, playing music.
Okay.
And she came to the bar that night to hire me. The company that she worked for was having a party, and she came to hire me. And so I went on break, went to her table, and she goes, "Hi, I'm Jenny, and I'd like to hire you. My boss wanted me to come here to listen to you. I'd like to hire you for the establishment." And I just sat on her lap and I go, "How you doing?"
Did you really?
Yes, he did.
What did you do?
I rolled my eyes, I think, and I thought, wow, he's a little cocky, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that's my description of that whole... He was supposed to sign a contract. That's what I came there for. And so that was my perception of him for the... I don't know how many times I had to go, but he wouldn't sign it. Just because he was just, cocky. He was just that way.
My handshake's good as a contract.
So how'd you
Trust
win
me.
her heart?
Well, after the few times of her coming to see the band,
Yeah.
she told her girlfriends, "That guy, I don't like this guy, he's cocky." And then one night she pulled out a 2-year planner that was in her purse. And she goes, 2 years from this date, I'm going to marry this guy.
You did?
And we did.
Really?
It was 2 years from that day, that we got married.
But she says I was cocky.
You were.
I was
Come
confident.
on, be honest. Okay, confident.
Confident.
That's a good word, confident.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
So
but
how old were you when you got married?
I was 28.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always told, be picky, just wait, and I'm thinking, I was picky.
Yes.
But yeah, it was, I was 28 and you were 30?
31 when we got married.
31.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So thinking about marriage, people watching are wanting marriage advice probably too. So what is something that you guys have done in your marriage that has been super helpful? Or is there any advice people gave you that you're like, that was so valuable?
No, I don't think advice, but the first 11 years we went into this without Jesus.
Yeah.
And so the best thing in our marriage was meeting him after 11 years.
How did you both meet him?
We lived in St. Pierre, yeah. And I come from a Catholic background
Yeah.
to where you go to school 6 days a week, you go to church 6 days a week, confession, communion, confirmation, and all that, and it just left me so empty.
Yeah.
I was very empty. And I can't exactly pick the day, but I remember feeling very empty.
Yeah.
Very empty. And I felt the hole. But what came with it was I knew that it was something he could not fill.
Right.
But I didn't know what the filling was. Mm-hmm. And I went to Catholic school for 5 years, and I don't ever remember hearing Jesus. I always heard all the other stuff, but I don't remember hearing Jesus. And a girlfriend came to me and said, "There's this meeting. I want you to come with me." And I talked to him about it. I said, "Okay, I'll go."
Yeah.
And it was at a church here in town, and it was called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. It was a play.
Okay.
And I remember watching it, and I have a close connection with my kids, and at one point the mom and the daughter were going to shopping or something, but the daughter had been going to youth group.
Yeah.
And she was telling her mom about Jesus and about all this, and the mom just didn't want any part of it. And when there was an accident, of course, they both died, the mom was separated from the daughter.
Yeah.
That ripped me apart. I mean, that just, and so that drew me. And then when they gave the plan of salvation at the end, you know, of course I accepted him, and I knew that he had entered my heart, because there was something, the void was gone,
Yeah.
but there was also this churning, this excitement that I just got to get more of this.
Yes.
You know, and I didn't even tell him for a couple of days, because he was, the way he was raised was different. Yeah, you can explain that, but it took me a couple of days to tell him, but oh my gosh, I was so excited. And, you know, 2 years or a year before Rod and Eileen moved in, was it a year?
A year.
A year before, we had new neighbors.
Yeah.
We thought they were drug dealers, and we, you know, because there was so much traffic in and out, and they were our new pastor and his wife, yeah. And so God had planted them across the street, and for 12 years they were great friends, great neighbors, still are to this day. But they were a help in my, I knew I wanted more of him from that point on. So.
That's amazing. So how about you?
It's a long story. We were not raised in church at all.
Yeah.
But as a small child, I went to Bible school, you know, vacation Bible school and all that. I was playing guitar back then at, 8 years old. I'd sing in church, just at the Bible school. Well, my grandfather, I was probably 6 years old or so, they had a fundraiser for the church.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my grandfather back then gave $5,000 to the church, said, "This is for my family."
Yeah.
Well, the church came to our house, and my dad says, "My father already gave to the church."
Yeah.
"No, that's just for him. We need donation from you too." So that broke all ties.
Yeah.
Dad says, "I can pray at home just as well as I can in church."
Yeah.
So we were never churched,
Wow.
never. Now where am I going?
Miranda,
Oh,
probably.
I came, yeah. Well, our oldest daughter, like a sophomore,
She
I
was
think
a
junior,
junior. She was
High
a
school.
junior.
had a part-time job after school at Burger King in Wanata.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after work that night, 10 o'clock at night, she's coming home, went over the bridge there in Wanata, where the railroad tracks are, got to the bottom, and hit 2 deer. They jumped, and she cut one in half. The other one ended up breaking the windshield and coming into the car. It was a male, a buck, had antlers, and continued to beat her head, her face and everything. It pushed her whole face back and broke every bone, her eye sockets, destroyed her
The
face.
bones behind the eye sockets. Yeah. it
And the
broke
doctor said
everything.
that her face was like stepping on an eggshell, all the bones in it. But all she was worried about is my teeth.
Her
remember.
contacts, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, "I have my contacts in." She was talking.
And, but then when her head swelled up and she went on life support. Still tough. So it broke her jaw, everything. She's all wired up. I'm in the hospital one night with her, and she's just mumbling. I said, "What?" So I get real close, and I finally made out, "Daddy, I can't breathe."
They had her wired. Did you say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
her
they
jaw's
had her
all wired up. "Daddy, I can't breathe." What had happened is one of the wires came loose and cut her tongue and swelled her tongue up, and it was blocking her air passage.
Yeah. So
So I grabbed actually tin snips, wire cutters that were on the bed, and I started cutting wires.
Oh yeah.
And when I done that, her jaw opened up, and then she went into convulsions.
She released.
Her eyes rolled in the back of her head, and
Yeah.
she's just, convulsions. And I'm yelling and screaming, and here comes a nurse, and this nurse, they're just running around. And this nurse says, Can I pray for her? Can I pray over her?
Yeah.
She laid hands on her and prayed, and seconds
Immediately stopped.
immediately stopped. So the next part of the story,
That was on December 3rd.
Yeah.
That was on December 3rd.
yeah,
And so,
well, I should have said before that, when Jen started going to church, I told her, I said, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not going to church. I will never know your God.
yeah, he yelled
Exact
that
words.
across the room. Yeah.
I mean, it was saying it mean, loud voice and everything. Then this happened to our daughter Miranda.
Yeah.
And so she invited me to church. We went to this one church, I didn't like it. Then we went to the church where our neighbor, we found out was the
Yeah.
pastor. We went there. And it was right at Christmas time. My favorite song is Silent Night.
Yeah.
They started singing Silent Night, and I was crying because of our daughter
Yeah.
coming out of things. And I said, I gotta go. I'm crying. I said, I gotta go. Jen says, I'll go get our coats.
Yeah.
I said, no, I gotta go forward.
Oh.
I went forward, gave my life to Christ, and it's been great ever since. I mean, I was still playing music in the bars.
Yeah.
And I went to the leadership, pastor and the leadership, and all they said was, we can't pull you out of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
God will do that. We can't tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. And the only reason I didn't quit the bar is because I was making fantastic money.
Yeah.
But he pulled me out, didn't miss the money, anything. And it's been 22 years, 23 years since I've been a Christian now.
Mm-hmm.
How has choosing to follow Jesus changed your marriage? Like what was your marriage like before, and how has that transformed your marriage after?
For me, it changed me dramatically. I never had a feeling
Yeah.
before. I mean, I pretty strict to our kids.
Yeah.
I showed no emotion, towards Jen. Yeah, loving husband, I was, you know what I mean, but
Yeah.
if there was a problem or anything, I'd just get over it,
Yep.
or I'd turn it around that was her fault.
Compassion. You were
Yeah.
lacking compassion.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be quite honest, I never shed a tear. I was 42 when I came to Christ. I never shed a tear in 42 years.
Wow.
I was brought up,
Not to.
men don't show emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's family, they never even said I love you to one another.
Wow.
It was, love is shown behind closed doors, not out in public. But then when I became to know Christ, watch a TV show, I'd start tearing. Then I said, I am a baby now. I know Christ, become a wimp.
That's amazing.
True story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure for your kids too. I'm sure they were like, what
Yeah.
has happened?
Yeah, the
In the
youngest
best
was
way.
8
Yeah.
when we got saved. So, yeah, for me it was like a light switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, because we started digging into things. Probably 2 years maybe for MMI, 2 years.
Oh, yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, they offered a marriage class at the church. And so it was 13-week class, and we took it, and it was an eye-opener.
Wow.
The biggest thing for me was the roles the wife played, the roles that the man had, not played, but had in the responsibility of under God's umbrella of marriage.
Yeah.
And so, he always used to get on me about, why do you always have to be up front? Why do you always have to run things? Why do you always have to? Well, then it was showing me that my gifting, that's what my gifting is.
Yeah.
It's administration, it's organization, and so I said, that's why. I mean, I got so excited. I said, look, this is why. You can't get mad at me anymore.
Yeah.
But that the woman is the radar and the man is the warrior. That was eye-opening for me, so trust what I'm thinking that God is showing me now. Trust that. Follow it.
Yeah.
Make sure it's what you're on the same page as him. And then tell the husband, tell him, this is, especially with our kids, she's saying this thing, but honestly, I don't think so. And we had instances where, you're supposed to give your kids back to God.
Yeah.
And I did that over and over and over. But then the final time that I did, he proved to be very faithful.
Yeah.
She said she was going to a girlfriend's house to spend the night. And this is when the radar started kicking in. And I said, okay, I didn't believe her at all in the beginning. And so she said, and we're just going to be here, and their mom and dad will be home and whatever. And I told him, I said, she's lying through her teeth.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, God, you've taught me radar, you've taught me, to give my kids to you, and I'm totally laying her at your feet.
Right.
Her protection, wherever she's going tonight, I leave her, and she was going to spend the night, so I wouldn't see her till the next morning. I said, whatever she's going to do tonight, God, go before her and stop anything she's not supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so we went to bed that night, and about 11 o'clock, she pulls in the driveway. She came in and sat at the end of the bed, and she said, I lied to you. And from then on, I knew God was going to take care of my kids better than I could. So, yeah, learning about the roles of parenting, and even in our own marriage, we learned about forgiveness, intimacy, the roles, forgiveness. There were 13 weeks of, oh my gosh, we've missed the mark for the past 11 years.
Yeah.
But and then we went on to teach several classes of that, and even went to a campground and taught the class.
Went to Mexico.
And went to Mexico with an interpreter to teach the class. It just made a world of difference, knowing God's view for our marriage versus us trying to run it. We had a good 11 years without, but an empty 11 years, I think. We missed so much.
Well, that first 11 years also, I was on the road.
Yeah.
I spent 20 years of our marriage working in Washington, D.C. for 2 years, West Virginia, flying home every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was building powerhouses like NIPSCO,
Okay.
all over the country. And she comes from a family where the women are dominant.
Very dominant. And I knew, I knew that's something in my marriage right off the bat I did not want. Because I saw my sisters, I'm 10 of 11 kids, and there's 7 girls in my family. And 5 of the ones before me were so dominant. I didn't like the way it looked.
Yeah.
But I had it in me to do that. So I had to suppress that over and over and over.
And with me being out of town, it was hard for her to get rid of because she had to.
I had to do
Run
it
the
all.
house. Yeah.
She had to do it all.
Right.
And then
when
hand
I
it
came
over.
home, I come home, it's like, you're not the boss. It's not your job.
That's hard.
It's hard to hand it back over after you've been doing
After
it,
20 years.
for so long. But, it
feel
was
you.
it was a wrestle. It was a wrestle,
You don't
but
have
we
that.
did it.
Well, yeah, John works a lot of late nights, so I told it's a struggle to then, like you said, you literally hand it over
You
because
do.
you're in charge, and then all of a sudden it's hard to just release that control.
Yeah, because the days I wanted to hand it over, no, I don't want to do it. You do it, and it's like
Yep.
back and forth and back and forth. So, but we figured it out.
Yeah. So what would you say, so I think this is a big question on my mind. So for people watching who have a spouse who's not a follower, or maybe they're watching and they have not chosen to follow Jesus, and they hear your story and they hear, maybe they're resonating with your emptiness, what would you say to them? What would be a step you'd ask them to take to start investigating God?
My experience is, and it was great, Jen never pushed me.
Yeah.
'Cause you push me, I'm going to back off.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to back away from you. So my advice is just give it to God.
Yep.
Just give it to God.
for the woman to be the example. The big thing, again, with marriage ministries, don't lay it on them, pray it on them.
That's good.
Yeah, so I prayed for his salvation. I prayed, that I was not going to, look, I'm going, you have to come with me, yada. It didn't work like that. I went, whether he went or not, I went, I got the kids ready, we went, and they talked about their day at church, because they went into their own groups, and I just believe that me being example and setting what we were going to do every Sunday, whether you were going to do it or not, this is what we were going to do.
Right.
But, when he walked into that church and saw in the corner this whole band thing, right away he was zoned. And so I thought, okay, God, you know what you're doing.
Right. Right.
You know right where to get him.
Yeah.
Now, if it would have been a church with just an organ, no. But it was just like First Church.
Yeah.
And I'd been a musician for my whole life.
Yeah.
And as soon as I walked in, one of the guys that was in the team, Ed Martin's here. We're going to have this musician here now. I said, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Because I would be performing.
Oh, okay.
And I took a whole year before I joined the team.
Wow.
I mean, I could have got up there the first day,
Yep.
but it would have been performing. And I can't do that.
Right.
Even here, I can't do that.
Right.
If I don't have the state of mind that this is worship for Christ,
Yeah.
it's not up here, it's not a talent show.
Right.
And I don't even call that a stage.
Yeah.
It's not a stage. A stage is for performing. It's a platform.
That's good.
Yeah,
I
God
love
just
that.
kind of entered all that, the music that related to him. Silent Night was his favorite song. That connected to him. His kids connected to him. God's timing was perfect. And he talked about Jesus everywhere he went. I mean,
In
it
the
blew
bars.
my mind. It blew my mind. Well, even with the family, with your mom and dad and everything. And, it ended up his dad got saved, his mom got saved, his brother got saved. They were baptized in our pool. I mean, and the 5 of us and the 3 girls were baptized together.
Wow.
In one day. I mean, it was just, God just kept moving and moving and moving. But yeah, to your question, I would say be an example to the woman. Be an example for your husband. Don't force it because it doesn't
won't
work
happen.
that way.
I have a couple more questions. So really quick. For the tragedy that happened with your daughter, I know there's a lot of people, even within our church or who are listening, who they maybe have just gone through something like that or going through it. What would you say to them? Like even in general in regards to marriage, because I've heard that can break marriages apart. Do you have anything you'd want to give your advice on?
Community. I think we would not have made it through without a church community. We wouldn't have, because the woman that laid her hand on her to stop the convulsing was a member of our church. And see, he had just gotten,
Which we didn't
you
know at
weren't
that
even
time.
saved yet when that happened. I was. And this church leadership was at the hospital. That they spent most of the day there. The pastor and his wife came in to pray for her. It was just the community of not being alone. I didn't know all these people, but they were there because we were hurting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, reaching out to people, whether you know them or not,
Yeah.
if they're hurting, a simple touch, a simple prayer, a simple, what can I get for you?
Yeah.
Means the world when your world is turned upside down.
Yeah.
Your daughter's on life support and she's got these big holes in her head. And, it just, the sense of community and family and togetherness. And, it just made the world smaller for me.
Yeah.
That these people don't even know us and they're meeting our needs, going to let the dog out or bringing us meals or, because we had to take shifts in the hospital at night to stay with her. And,
Yeah.
and when we had 2 other kids and, yeah, the sense of community, family.
Yeah.
Exactly right. I mean, all the guys, construction guys that I knew at work, stayed away. People that I had thought were friends. But get a little ahead of myself. I lost all friends, which is biblical. You know, you go to
Yeah.
Christ, you're going to lose friends.
Yeah.
And they just stayed away. You know, when I was playing music in the bars or playing concerts, everybody wanted to be around you because you could give them something.
Right.
But when I became a Christian, all I heard was, Ed's a preacher now.
Yeah, they stayed away. Pretty
Yeah.
much just all fell away. And you know what? We were okay with that.
Yeah.
We were. God
was
just
all
weeding out,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it was good.
So how do your guys' roots in Jesus remain strong in marriage now?
Well, we just keep practicing what we learned, for one thing. Reading the Bible. Yeah, that, you know, and it amazes me even as I don't say as old as I am, but you know, I'm not that old, but there's always something new coming out.
Yeah.
Always. You read the same passages, but it has different meanings.
Oh, yeah.
God opens your eyes, you know, and he always seems to wake me at, for a long time, probably a couple of months, 3:30 in the morning, I'm wide awake. Okay, so I go out and read the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. But yeah, just relearning the foundations. You can't get stale. You got to keep going forward. Don't live in the past. You know, we move on. I mean, yeah.
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 We move on. Our relationship, this is all about marriage here, our relationship, when we went up to the UP this winter, and we had a snowmobile accident, but you know that, I'm sure, and Jen broke her ankle. I enjoyed taking care of her. You know,
Yeah.
she didn't like it, you know, because she
It's
was,
hard, but yeah.
and this whole COVID thing,
Right.
you know, that, and then I had surgery on my shoulder. She had to take care of me, which I definitely didn't like. But we're there for one another, and after 34 years of marriage, and Christ being within our marriage,
And putting the other one first.
right?
That was a big hurdle for us to get over. You know, from the
Yes.
11 years of me, and then bringing Jesus into the mix. And you know what? The cool thing is too is next year we're going to be married 35 years. We're going to renew our vows, and our grandchildren are going to be our wedding party. I'm so excited about that because so much of the Lord is going to be in that.
Yeah.
For them to see that the marriage is not the party afterwards, it's the actual ceremony. Because when we said those words before, it was just words. They're
Right.
going to mean so much more
Oh,
because we are including Jesus in the mix.
absolutely.
Yeah. So we're real excited about that.
Well, we never had a party or
Well, that was all, a mess anyway.
because what was it, a couple months before we got married, your dad passed away.
Yeah, he died in May. And then my mom got very sick just a month or so before the wedding. We had the band, we had the venue, we had everything, and had to cancel it all. The invitations we just threw away because she couldn't be there. I was the only one out of 11 kids that she couldn't see get married. And so we canceled it, and we shouldn't have. But anyway, this is our intimate
Yeah.
ceremony with our
That-
grandkids.
That's going to be special.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you guys for letting me pick your brain. Thank you for being here. And I feel like everyone listening, there's so many tangible challenges. I love what you guys said about praying. I love how you describe roles in marriage. I love, like, we're the radar, they're the warrior. And just, even if you're listening and you don't know where you're at with Jesus, I hope that their story inspires you to go and pursue that and get in your Bible and join a community, find a church. And I really agree with you. Without people of faith praying and just following Jesus with you, like the hard times, they're still hard, but they're a whole lot easier.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we cannot wait to catch you next time. Bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on our other social media platforms. We don't want you to miss out on any future content. Thank you so much again, guys. I hope you have a great day. And I want you to know I am personally praying that your roots stay strong.